Today we're going to be taking an even deeper dive into everybody's favorite bug. Well, at least for me that is. So since my first video, there's been a couple new discoveries that I would love to showcase. So let's get right to it, starting with a sandbox test here. Let's try to get these druids to work. Any links? Yep, we got 2 links over here. I'm just going to keep one of them though, for science reasons. So I'm surprised I didn't test this at all, but luckily a YouTuber, Mac and Rules, made a nice video basically showcasing a lot of things with the bug, and one thing I missed was that you can actually stack the Super Monkey Fan Club and the Plasma Fan Club. So let me just go ahead and transform this Avatar Wrath into a Super Monkey Fan Club. As you can see, it's doing okay damage, but now if you press this, we now get 30x on top of that 15x. So right now, 87,000 DPS just simply on Bloonarius. And you'll see that if we have only the Fan Club or the Plasma Fan Club, it's just at 33k. And now to make sure we can see maximum carnage, maximum destruction, let's Ultra Boost to get all the buffs, I guess minus the True Sun God. You know, funnily enough, I'm adding a bunch of buffs here, but what's interesting is that they're not actually adding to the DPS of the Avatar Wrath. So that's pretty strange. Sounds like the buffs are independent then. Or perhaps the Ultra Boost / Homeland is only buffing the normal base on Avatar Wrath, and these things stacked doubly on top of it do not get that multiplicative effect. I even activated it, both abilities before using Fan Clubs, but nope, same amount of DPS. Just so we know exactly DPS increase we're looking at here, 250 before buffing, 3.2k after Fan Club, so 12, 13 times stronger. And well, now another 10, 13 times stronger at 33. So it looks like stacking both buffs give you at least 100 times more DPS. So you can imagine that gets pretty crazy. Now, let me try to transform one more bug tower. Let's do a Super Monkey, for example. And what happens here is that if we get it to work, then you'll see that we kind of now have a chain link. And if you guys remember what you saw the first time around, in where the upgrading the original Dart Monkey, given it upgrades will increase the power / projectile size of the temple. Well, the reason it does that exactly is because it's duplicating the sacrifices of the temple, which again can explain why I was getting 50,000 around from the support temple. And, you know, giving upgrades will increase the projectile size, because military sacrificing does increase the size. So again, watch very carefully here. 1 upgrade, 2, 3. I'm gonna have to turn down the accessibility. How about down to 13? So yeah, you can basically stack it up to 7 times. If I had ultimate cross pathing, you bet things would get incredibly insane. Frankly, I don't think I should do that though, considering at 6, the game has pretty much turned unplayable. But yeah, practically infinite DPS. Now about the chain link I was talking about earlier, there's actually 2 kinds of things that could happen when you have 2 link towers and then you get a 3rd one. Either the Super Monkey links to the very first one, which in that case means you have, well, 2 separate chain links. Apparently, nothing comes of this, everything acts as normal. However, the second instance is what you need to create a chain link. So right now, I did get it. You'll be able to tell by if you click the second one that you linked, if this Super Monkey is highlighted. If it's not, that means the Super Monkey is linked to the first tower, but yeah, this is a chain link right here. It goes from Dart 1, Dart 2, into Super Monkey. And this is where things get really, really interesting, because all the upgrades from any previous towers in the chain will apply to, well, the temple, which means you can get not just 7, but 14 with 2, and so on and so forth. But I'm going to stop at 2 because it's a bit of RNG, I think. I can't say for certain it's a 50-50 chance of getting the chain link to work for 2 of them. For me, it took 8 tries. Maybe I just got unlucky. But anyways, let's combine every bit of knowledge here first, shall we? So let me spawn out Tier 5 Elite Bloonarius, and let me first test out the Super Monkey plus Plasma Fan Club stacking effect. So right now, looking at about 7k DPS. I'll use Fan Club, and now we're up to about 40k. Plasma Fan Club, here comes the lag, and I'm seeing 189k, but it's definitely more than this, because once again, the DPS display is IRL time instead of in-game time. So yeah, not bad DPS, but here's where, again, we can go wild. So this is the second Dart Monkey in the chain. Let's buy some upgrades, and yep, it does work. Let me buy one from the other Dart Monkey too. Yup, it stacks. Alright, back down to 50% projectile size. 3, 4. I assume it's the same, like, having 2 upgrades on 2 different towers is the same as 4 on one tower, but correct me if I'm wrong about that. With 4 upgrades, we are doing, like, 20,000 a frame. Let's go ahead and utilize the upgrades and the fan clubs. See what happens. Well, actually, that's some instant regret if I've seen any. I probably should have just stuck to the upgrades. Yeah, I'm freezing here. It looks like we're doing 300k per frame, though. Yup, that's unplayable, folks. Okay, let me get rid of balloon arrows here. My PC actually can't take this. Alright, again, much better. We're just gonna try to beat this without using the fan club abilities, then. Also, what's crazy is that the Sun Temple is now so bright that it has completely changed the way we see Bloonarius. Saturation level 100. This doesn't seem too fast, though. Let's see what the harm is in doing one more upgrade. Also, if I didn't mention this yet, then upgrading the True Sun God will reset, like, the size of all these and the power, so make sure to get a 520 maxed out before going further. Alright, one more upgrade. We are now at 6 upgrades out of a total of 14. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I can even get there. Are we there yet? I swear it's been 5 minutes, and we've progressed, like, 10 seconds of in-game time. By the way, technically the game is skipping frames because the timer's going up every 0.06 or 0.07 seconds. So if you want to do some extrapolation, then we're actually looking about only 1.5 million DPS. Again, it could be higher, but I think that's all my PC will take for now. GG Bloonarius. And now time to test some stuff that I've seen in the comments. So one of the comments was that you actually don't even need to activate, like, the ability twice. It'll already become bugged. Yeah, that's crazy. As you see, there's already a link over here. You gotta love how over time this bug is slowly becoming more and more simple to, like, replicate, because at first, initially, everyone thought that you had to spam towers. And now not only do you have to spam only a couple of them, you don't have to use second ability. Nice. Now, something else I don't remember if I mentioned yet is that this, obviously, it doesn't apply to just Dart Monkeys, but it's obviously best on Dart Monkeys because you have the fan club ability. Anything else won't be as interesting. Well, except for, wizards. This discovery is courtesy of my comment section. I couldn't find the comment anymore, but one of you mentioned you can get a permanent ability with the Wizard of Phoenix linked to, well, an ability. So let me try a Spike Factory. Yep, I got a link over here. So watch as I do the following here. I'll go for a Spike Storm. I'll buy Wizard of Phoenix on this thing. What I gotta do is use this ability now, and then just activate Spike Storm after. And watch what happens once the Wizard of Phoenix times out. Wait for it, here we go. Yup, that's right. A permanent Spike Storm. This will break once you, I believe, press the ability again. I think this is the one case where Wizard is actually better than Dart Monkey. It's just the Spike Storm. I believe this also works on the Maelstrom, but, I mean, you can already get a permanent Maelstrom in a real game, so I don't think that's as fascinating, but yeah, don't mind as a solo 240 Spike Storm deletes around 140 FBAD. I say deletes with a pinch of salt because it's still got about, like, a third to the track, but still, fun stuff. Let me see what happens if we upgrade. I'm pretty sure it breaks again. Yeah, it breaks. But what if I activate the Wizard Phoenix and this thing again? Will we get a permanent Carpet of Spikes? Yes, we will. Nice. Actually, hang on. I don't think this is as good as you might think. I think once you use Spike, like, once it activates passive Spike Storm, it breaks again, so never mind. I think you probably want to stop at Spike Storm then for this bug. Out of curiosity, let's try other towers with Wizard Phoenix. So how about Elite Sniper Crate? Wouldn't it be crazy if we got permanent crates? Let's see. Yup, we got a crate here. Just one of them, though. Oh, no. Hey, would you look at that? Just what the doctor ordered. I can see this being more broken in boss events than the Dart Monkey bug, honestly. $3,000 every 2 seconds. Oh, I was gonna try Anti-Balloon, but it crashed the game. Don't do that, folks. Wouldn't it be crazy if this worked on the farm ability? Okay, one Monkey Nami's coming right up. Can this be more broken than the Elite Sniper? No. And now one more sandbox test here before we move on. Who can forget the Mad? So how much DPS can we get up to just by comboing the abilities? Here's one. Just a casual 27k. And how about this? 500 yeah, this is way better than Avatar Wrath. What? Again, it might have to do with the fact that, as you saw with Tax previously, all that matters is the strength of the single projectile. And because, well, one Thorn is way weaker than one Mandible, which is like 750 damage, or 650, that makes round 200 bats very easy. How about Round 300. Come on. There we go. Yep, it is beatable. And now for round 400. Once again, I'm activating Homeland, but you see it doesn't increase the DPS at all. So it's about as high as you can go, and damn, so close. If the ability could last just a little bit longer, then we would have had it. Or, actually, why don't I just activate the Mad ability? How did I not do this yet? It's actually not as crazy of a DPS increase. I only see up to 700, but that should be enough to get us over, right? At least pop this thing. Yep. So because this buff is so strong and 2 of our elites are not good enough anymore for this, I'm gonna do one more ultimate test, this time in a real game. And we're gonna try some late game free play here to see just exactly how high of rounds, like, max buff towers are capable of beating, provided leg does not get us before then. So in order to survive as many rounds as possible here, ideally, I should get as many bug towers as possible. However, I think for the most part, only tempo will matter, but still. I'll try to squeeze in as many secondary bug towers as I can. So first off, we'll start with the Druid. Alright, time to start our late game then. One thing I should mention before continuing is if you back out of this game at all, this bug no longer works. So you have to stay in the game, which means it's practically impossible to actually go for the highest round, because obviously lag, and it takes days to get to like even round 500. So that's why, with help mods, we have this thing called a round changer, which I will utilize once we actually get the ball rolling. I also accidentally upgrade this thing to middle. But actually, that's fine. I just remember that tank zone doesn't work. So instead, I'll use this first tower as a showcase. Let's do Super Maelstrom. I'll use Fan Club. I'll use Maelstrom. And all of a sudden, the Maelstrom only has 1 whip. Not used to seeing that, or yeah, let's try with the Super Monkey Fan Club now. Now it uses the Plasma Balls as a whip. Now before I go for my Sun Temple, let me first power up the Spike Factory. The thing is with both Fan Club abilities, you don't have a lot of uptime. But Spike Factory is really reliable for that because, well, the mines you have on the field still stay during that downtime. Just take a look at how many spikes it's spawning, which, if I am correct, should be about 100 times the amount of spikes. And I think we're gonna break our game here. Right, every time you end a round, all the spikes expire, which, actually, I'm saying corrected, that means we're not gonna survive. I think we're ready to scale some rounds up. Who's with me? And now let's see if the combo of Fan Club and Plasma can beat Bads. Well, that answers it. By the way, this is just one Fan Club ability, and it's still enough to beat an F-Bad. Mind you, too, in a not-so-great spot. So with that, let's quickly jump to 325, I don't know, and combo again. Let's see. Oh, no, it's running through a spike pile now. Yup, we lost all the spikes that were there in the first ability. Okay, I don't think we should chance it any longer, though. I believe it's temple time. Plus, remember that when I upgrade, it's permanent, so I don't need to be relying on abilities come late game. Alright, it's time to True Sun God all over the Bloons here. Again, maximum range, get a Vengeful to make sure. So let's get back to where earlier, around 324. It looks like it could use some help, even with Homeland and Overclock Ultra Boost activated. Alright, one more upgrade here. Man, I don't even know what this game is anymore. I think I'm seeing enough. Let's jump all the way to 500 now. Perhaps we'll be fine if we combo. I'll use Fan Club now. And I think we're still struggling, right? Yeah, okay. Here's Plasma. I'm pretty sure I got exactly what I was expecting when I did this, and we are dead. We'll do a 4th upgrade here and see if it's better now. Now, I definitely do prefer it if my videos are a slideshow, so I think I'm gonna do a little bit of magic here and just show you guys a fast-forwarded version, just so you guys get a smoother experience. So here's 1x, and here's 10x. Honestly, if we're already lagging so much, we might as well just go higher. Alright, I'm gonna up it to around 1,000, and my game froze again. And, whoa, I just died. Okay, we'll do 6 upgrades now. This is pretty close to max. Yeah, 50% projectile size is too big for this. We have to go down to, yeah, 25 is good. I'd love to just be able to get through one round here, but I think as long as I can see the VTSG beat a single F-Bat in a certain round, we'll move on. Guys, if the VTSG was a real person, what kind of build do you think it would have? Really asking the hard-hitting questions here. Personally, I'd wager maybe a 6'3", 215-pound build. Also, no, I did not pause the video while what you're seeing here is actually 10x speed. The game is literally not moving. Like, forget seconds per frame. We now have to measure this by minutes per frame. And, okay. The game unpaused and I died instantly. Okay, 6 upgrades actually was unplayable, so we're gonna dial it back to 4 upgrades only. And then just max buffs on everything else. So for starters, let's just dial it back down to around 666. Come on, surely it's enough, right? It's actually not doing as much damage as I thought, so let's transform it into Plasma and Normal. Yep, I've seen enough of round 666 to see that it is enough. If we can play out 666, we can probably play out 1000, but I can't upgrade anymore, so I didn't say this was solo. Therefore, I'm just gonna add some support towers like the Ninja Paragon. That gives you half speed on everything, you know, without the easy ability. Also, a Boat Paragon, of course, for the one-shots. And sure, beam it in the corner, why not? And here we go. Let's get it. We're currently doing 3 million damage per frame. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention the Grand Sabo ability is really helping. In fact, at round 1000, yeah, it's already taken 300 million. Holy. So if I had to guess, then I think those F-Bats have about 200 million HP. And the good news is we actually ended up popping one of them. Well, nobody said I couldn't use powers, right? Time Stop and Monkey Boost. Time Stop is effectively a 3x increase because it makes blimps move at 10% speed, but your towers shoot at 30%. So, in theory, this should make the leg a little bit better, right? Because, well, we have a third of the projectiles on screen. I guess we'll see. Monkey Boost will get me back to 60% of the original speed. As you can see, the leg is so bad that I can't even drag, like, the powers to use them. Looks like sometimes the game registers and double-clicking and then opens to the menu. Bruh. Actually, there is a hotkey, right? Yeah, it's shift plus number to spawn the power. Now, I gotta find out quickly which one is the Time Stop. That's shift 4, no. Come on, nope. Okay, screwed, I'm just gonna drag it. Yeah, we survived really long here, but I just can't activate. But theoretically, definitely possible if I had known that hotkey and was able to chain them. Yeah, that's RIP. Okay, I would not have gone that. I didn't know that Monkey Boost and Time Stop were so far into the keyboard that this is their hotkey, their default hotkey. Yeah, I don't think I can bear another rerun. I think that round actually took over 40 minutes. Only to lose, so sad. Well, I hope you found this mildly interesting. That is all.